Yes.
Welcome to Creative Cabin Fever. On tonight's episode, we have the lovely 10 Ounce Mouse. Introduce yourself, folks.
How's it going? We're 10 Ounce Mouse from Wexford, and new EP coming out in July, hopefully. And you should listen to it because we're the best band in the world.
Yes.
We've also made a band decision to all wear our sunglasses.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah, for the lovely
That's
overcast day there is.
Or at least we're definitely the best band being interviewed right now.
At this very second.
Yeah.
So guys, it's really nice to meet you. Obviously, you did a Viking gig back in December, I believe.
Yeah, we've done a couple with Eddie. First one was in 2018 in the Metal Man Bar, RIP. I think we did 2 or 3 there, and then we did 1 or 2 in the Rogue Gallery. I think.
Yeah, we had 1 gig in the Rogue Gallery. The other was in the Goma Gallery that we worked with Eddie Blake as well. Yeah. And
we did Central Arts twice, I think, as well, did we?
I think we did go twice. Yeah, definitely once. I don't know. It's definitely all blurring out at this stage.
That's what happens when you're on tour. Like, you're always kind of having a blur. Like,
It was a year-long tour with about 6 gigs involved.
We did 9 in our first year, and I think second year we did 24, which was 2 a month, which is good. Like, it's grand for an original band. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's great going.
We'd like more, obviously, but you know.
Yeah, sure. You know, being an original band, it's hard to find venues who are interested in like having original bands in, unless they've heard your stuff before, or it's kind of a free to play kind of scenario. Because seemingly, in terms of bands, all the money is in cover acts, of course.
Yeah,
but
I think it should be a lot more like interesting to see where we go after this COVID-19 situation as well. How many more gigs we'll get? Hopefully, a lot more. I think.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot more energy for doing this kind of stuff as well. You know, I can't wait to get back to practicing and gigging and everything. So
people are going to be fucking starved of something to do as well, aren't they?
So. You know, I have great hopes as well. I really, really think it's going to be something very special. So I'm excited to see what happens anyway.
Well, we were in the works of planning a 12-day tour across 11 counties, and for starting in July in Wexford and then going up and around. But sure that all disappeared with the plague, didn't it?
Very quick, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, China.
So obviously these interviews are about trying to figure out how people are finding creativity in captivity and what lockdown is like. So I'm very interested to hear what you've been doing since in lockdown, guys.
Going down trees.
Hibernating and just reading and just like, I don't know, I tend to spend some of the time on the acoustic guitar just trying to come up with some ideas myself that we could use later on maybe when we get together collectively.
That's it, yeah. When it comes to the musical process, I find that either Luke or Brandon tend to be the leaders when it comes to new musical ideas, and then anyone else, the other 3 of us, will all kind of pitch in what we think will sound good.
Yeah.
So having a few riffs from yourself, Luke, or from yourself, Brandon, or from yourself, Simon, it's always great to have a starting point, and then everyone kind of knows intuitively where to go from there, I think.
But yeah, I managed to get a looper pedal just before the lockdown happened, which was great because now I can kind of lay out some ideas, and I'm sending videos into the group chat. But the writing process, we're a bit like the Beatles, I suppose, because, you know, myself and Luke, I guess, are John and Paul, but like everyone writes songs. Like one of the songs off the EP release, and She's Got Me, was almost entirely written musically by Michael, the drummer, you know. So he's like a more handsome Ringo, really.
There's no such thing, man. I'm a better drummer than Ringo.
I think how She's Got Me came about was, I approached Mike in his apartment, and I said, Mike, I have an idea. And he said, okay. And so he wanders off to his little electric guitar that he has, and like he has like little bass riffs to it, and then we just took it to Brandon and Simon, and they just fucking created something really exciting and fresh, you know.
The vocals as well. I think this is one of the first songs, She's Got Me, that had any kind of consistent vocal harmony going on, and that was something that me and Luke kind of sat down and worked out as well. kind of just came out of nowhere, as a lot of these ideas do. We just end up, you know, like messing around a bit, and if we both give each other the nod, as
It's
if to say,
working.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's my first shot at kind of writing lyrics for a song as well, so it was a different process than most of our songs, which we all do together. Everyone kind of had like 4 different ideas, and we made one really good song out of it, I hope.
Oh, absolutely.
And how have you finding creativity? Like, has your process changed in this time? Because a lot of people are reporting different aspects of creativity they didn't realize before lockdown and how it's affected them. So I'm interested to hear that from bands as well.
Yeah, I started making electronic music on the computer because I had nothing else. So that was just something to do. But it's interesting, just because that'd be something completely different than what we normally do. But I wouldn't mind bringing in more dance elements or electronic elements to our songs either.
Yeah, I think personally we're the type of band that doesn't like to just solely fit into the indie kind of genre. We're very fluent that way, and we're very experimental in that in terms of that. And I really appreciate the experimental side that we have as well. That hopefully in the future we'll have a chance to show people what we can do. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a complaint we got at a gig once, actually. Wasn't it just? You know, they sound like too many bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to an extent we're still trying to find what makes the band sound like the band. You know, we're trying to hone in on what makes us sound original or kind of stand out from other people. But with that comes a lot of ideas that can come from all sorts of genres, really. You know, it depends not only on the person who comes up with the initial idea, but what that person is listening to at the time. So, you know, we've got some songs on the back burner that could go from, you know, punk to straight up pop to more 60s, 50s, almost doo-wop.
I think it's like, because we all have like, our pretty individual ideas of what we like to play. So like when we put all that together, because like when we are writing songs, it's like, you know, we all write our own bit, add to it. So with the things that we like, when we put that in, I think that's, you know, that's where sound sort of. And I can't name what our sound is, but you know what, when you hear it.
It's sexy, man. That's what it is.
Sexy, yeah.
I have to say, excuse me, I've been listening to the new EP and I have to say it's a little bit sexy.
Yeah. It's made of sex, isn't it? Like, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've 4 very variant tastes in music, which like I think is a problem for a lot of bands that they can't agree on stuff. But we just try to blend everything. I think one of the other things that helped us is when we initially got together in 2018. Like, we weren't like, oh, we're going to be a metal band or a rock band, or because I think as soon as you say we're X, you've limited yourself to not being other things.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was just we were a band, and that was it. And most of the songs, the original manifesto myself and Mike had was songs we liked that our mothers didn't hate. So, you know, so eventually we're like, I suppose that's pop music, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, so something that can kind of appeal to everybody to some extent, I guess.
It's pop. People use pop as a dirty word, but like, let's make pop sexy again. Woo! Something like that. I don't know.
Not that it ever stopped, really. Let's just try to make it more sexy.
More sexy, yeah.
I think personally, like our individual kind of humor towards the whole thing is very important as well. I mean, once you start setting boundaries on what kind of genre you want to be, it just ruins and gets in the way of your creativity. You know, it just kind of like ruins the whole potion of it all. So we try to just keep an open mind as to sound and be as real as possible. You know.
That's
it. Flow effectively, like just see where it brings you, and then if you can make something of it, brilliant. And if you can't, just scrap it and start over. Like, that's a good approach.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the other thing we do that's good is like we take the music very seriously, but we don't take ourselves very seriously, which is important because just we've played with bands, and there's a lot of bands out there that are a bit, you know, proper and a bit, you know, oh well, we're this, and we don't associate with anyone that isn't this, and what's the point?
Rigid,
like,
almost.
rigid is a good word for it.
Yeah, in the genre or the subculture that they're aiming for. And you know, that comes back again to putting yourself into a box and not being able to really write or think outside of that box. So
it's interesting when people come to see us play first who've never seen us play. They're just taken back by the energy that's on stage. They're like, what the fuck is going on here? I like this. You know, this is different.
That's it. A lot of that energy now comes from yourself, Luke.
Jump
Yeah.
around.
I would say most of us.
Yeah, I think that's probably, in terms of a live show, that's one of our biggest draws. I think that Luke is a genuine madman once he's on the stage. And like,
You know,
imagine-
Iggy Pop, you know.
Imagine
Yeah.
if Iggy Pop sounded like, Morrissey. That's kind of the idea, like, you know.
Nice.
and then you see Luke then off stage, and he's an extremely kind of quiet gentleman.
Introverted.
Yeah,
Reserved.
you see him on the stage then, and he's a punk rock icon.
It's so
like,
funny. So funny before a gig, Luke is just jittering to go up and play and jump around.
Yeah,
It's weird. It's yeah. I don't know. It's like when I'm on stage, I don't really like. I just it's not within me to stand for long periods of time in front of the microphone and just sing. I'm just overtaken by the music, and as cliche and as cheesy as it might sound to anyone else, it's just I just get lost in the music and the fact that you're up there with your friends as well. It's really special, you know.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
always said it as well with your lyrics, Luke. You know, I was like, if anyone else showed me the lyrics you have, I would tell them that was the most bent stuff I'd ever seen. But with yourself, it's so sincere, you know, that it's just
Yeah.
it's genuine. Like, you know, like if I tried to write, you know, all lovey-dovey songs, it'd sound horrible. But you can pull it off, you know.
When you believe in what you're writing, the lyrics or the melody or whatever, then I think that makes a big difference in how people perceive it as well. Because as you're saying, Brandon, if you sat down to write lovey-dovey lyrics, it would almost sound
Disingenuous.
yeah. But I think coming from Luke, like what he writes definitely means something to him. You know, like one of our songs, Smoke Signals, for example, you know, Luke, you live in Rosslare.
That's there, yeah.
And that song was all about just watching your local area deteriorate during the last recession.
Yeah.
Shops closing, people leaving, and all that. And
Definitely.
it clearly means something to you. Like,
Okay.
Now we're getting ready for the second recession, so more songs to come.
yeah,
I imagine
inspiration.
everyone is getting ready for a more creative flow.
yeah.
It's great. I'm seeing people who haven't done anything in about a decade, and all of a sudden they're all over this, and I think it's
Yeah.
magic. Like,
I one idea name for the EP I had was The Boom Is Back, but I don't think that works anymore.
That's not going to fly now. No.
No, the boom is gone.
Boom is fucking told. So, sure, look.
The
are
boom
you
went
guys
bang, man.
discovering anything new about yourselves in this time? So, like, have you picked up hobbies that you never thought you would do before, or anything mad like that?
I didn't know it was possible to sleep as much as I do.
Yeah.
I've really outdone myself recently.
That's it. Or like once you don't have a job to get up for, which I think we're all in the same boat there at the moment. You know, like all our workplaces are closed. You have no choice but to sleep in until 2 p.m. Yeah.
And now, lads, I still live with the father, so he's able to find plenty of work for me to do, like
Well,
cutting
that's
down
good,
trees
that's good
and
as well. You know,
laying down cement and all this crap, like.
it's stuff to keep you going. You know. Personally, now I found myself just going outdoors an awful lot. I think once you're told that you shouldn't really be doing something, you're more inclined to go out and do it. So I've been getting some illegal exercise, walking around the town, sometimes beyond 2 kilometers. But don't
That's a
tell
good
me.
EP name.
Ooh.
That's a good EP name, Illegal Exercise. I like that.
Guys, yes.
You know, I've been going on an awful lot more walk. I go on a long walk and then I come back and I realize I'm bored again, so I go on another long walk.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Now,
fuck
like
the guards. They can't stop me, yeah.
I don't know. I just find myself like just drinking a lot more water than I would beer. You know.
That's a healthy option. I know a lot of people that are the other way, and that's okay too.
You know, yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to eat a lot more healthier as well, but only in my dreams, only in my fucking dreams as of the moment.
I am eating much healthier because, you know, all the chippers are closed, so
Yeah,
Are they?
I think I've lost 7 kilos since it
Wow.
started. You know.
ass and kick ass.
I'm expertly having close, so next time you see me, I'm gonna be about your size.
Yeah, and I'll be your size. We'll swap. And I'll be your height too, and you can shrink.
Mm,
Or I'll just play bass, Simon. No one will know the difference.
So one of my favorite questions to ask bands is, what was the first song you fell in love with? Because I believe it to be your gateway drug into the rock and roll industry, as you know, as it is. Like,
That's a tough one.
I have
I
a
don't know.
distinct memory when I was either 3 or 4 years old, because me ma was working from home at the time. Me dad got one of those Dell computers, you know, Dell, you can't get those in the shops. So, and he set it up and he was testing the tower, and he tested the CD drive, and I was sitting on his lap. My sisters had gone to school, and he had a bunch of CDs, and he said, you can pick the CD. And he had Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous on the table, because I know the rest of it was the Pogues and whatever. And the image of Phil Lynott leaning back in the leather pants playing the bass, I just went, that one. And the opening song is, you know, Jailbreak, starts with that A chord, and I said to my father at 3, that's what I want to do. And it's ruined my life ever since, I suppose.
For myself, I think I'd be hard pushed to pick a particular song that got me into music as a hobby, and ultimately, I suppose, as a lifestyle choice. But I think the first album I was ever into was, I think at the age of 10 or 11, someone introduced me to Linkin Park, which, to be honest, I've kind of strayed away from since. But that introduced me to wanting to play both the drums and the guitar after hearing that album. So an actual song off of it, I wouldn't really be able to tell you, I'm afraid. You know, I haven't listened to that album since I was a teenager. So
One step closer, man.
Oh, and I'm about to break. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, didn't you turn out to be a fabulous drummer and guitarist? So
Absolutely.
you know, people ask me what it's like to be the best guitarist in the world, and I'm not even the best guitarist in my own band.
I would say that for me, it was my oldest brother took me over to his friend's house, and then MTV came on. This is like when MTV was somewhat good. I think I was like 12 or 13, and obviously it had to have been for me, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I just, at that age, I was looking at the television set, and I was like, who the fuck are these guys that are just fucking shit up? It's like, it's so awesome, like, you know. And then immediately I just went from like growing my hair down to my nipples, and just like wore just like Converse and fucking ripped jeans and the whole works. I think it had to have been fucking that one song that just made me, especially get into songwriting. I'm not anything of a guitar player like any of the guys in the bands are. Like that's one song that really changed my life for the better, and just like got me onto like later punk rock influences and stuff, you know.
For myself, I remember when I was, I don't know how old I would have been, but I remember I found Teen Suicide on YouTube, and it was the song "Lonely Boy Goes to Rave," and it just uses like a nice little sample of just someone talking at the start, and it's all very nice and lo-fi. And I just remember thinking that like that song sounded how I felt, and that's when I started thinking more about how music is probably my favorite choice for putting emotions out there and putting emotions into art. And so yeah,
That's
that's when I realized that music could be used to express yourself, and yeah, that's what really got me into playing.
At the age of 7, I also saw the video for Duality by Slipknot, and I was convinced that that's what they actually looked like. Which at the time was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I didn't really like it, to be honest, but it definitely was a milestone moment all the same.
yeah, no, Slipknot is definitely, the way they approached music and the way they became famous is incredible when you think about it. Like, oh, we'll all wear masks, so no one will know who we are, but actually everyone knows who we are. And
I just want to see how. I want to see for myself how fucking thick Corey Taylor's neck actually looks in person.
Oh Lord, yeah.
it's massive.
Yeah. It's like where does his neck start and his shoulders end? It's impossible to tell.
He's got traps for ears, in fairness.
Yeah, just like straight up.
Well, I have like my umbrage with Corey Taylor, I suppose, is that like for 6 months of the year he goes around dressed as an absolute lunatic and breaks stuff on stage, and then for the other 6 months of the year he wears a paddy cap and has an acoustic guitar and does U2 covers.
Oh, Stone Sour, like
You know, it's just like it's odd, you know.
maybe that's what Duality the song was all about. You know?
Yeah, the duality of man.
The duality in life in general, that's kind of the most beautiful part of existing, in my opinion. You know, the good and the bad and all those things in between come from that. So
Trying to
yeah,
balance.
Corey Taylor.
Look, lads, I can be a wanker in 2 genres.
Bit harsh. A little bit harsh.
So because we want to get people to be really excited about the upcoming gigs that are going to be happening for all of us, you know, Viking, 10 Ounce Mouse, every band in the world is going to be so busy whenever we get out of lockdown, I believe, that we really need to get attendance up. So I'd love to know what your most memorable gig moments were.
Obviously, I think our first 2 gigs have to be very memorable, obviously. I think the second one especially, because that was the first gig we ever recorded, and it was the first gig we ever filmed as well. For a while we had a kind of a live album or a live EP with all the songs we had up until that point, and that was filmed in a local bar here in Enniscorthy, Houlihan's Pub.
Mo Houlihan.
Oh, go on, Niall. What a man.
Best man.
Yeah. So for me, I'd say it would be that gig, just because there's so much material around that gig that it's hard to forget, really. And if it wasn't for Niall and Houlihan's Pub, we probably wouldn't be sitting here at the moment anyway. You know, it's very hard, especially in Enniscorthy, because there's so many cover bands around. It's very hard to find somewhere willing to put up with original music unless you organize your own gig. So yeah, second gig in Houlihan's would be the memorable one for me.
I think that first gig in Houlihan's was phenomenal as well, because we did 9 songs and 8 of them were originals, but we had no idea we were any good. Like, we didn't have a clue that we were actually any good. And then everyone who saw us was like, that was actually really good. You know, so I like the actually in it, because everyone thought we were going to suck super hard, but we didn't. And it was, you know, a mate of mine in particular said to me, it was like he felt like Eric Clapton when he saw Jimi Hendrix. You know, I was like, are they really that good? You know, that's how he felt like. So it was nice. And yeah, just we didn't have a clue that we were any good.
Yeah, for me, it would have to be the very first one in Houlihan's that we played. After finishing, I remember just looking at the guys and just thinking, you know, I could definitely play with these guys for the rest of my fucking life, you know, and I hope to.
Aww.
Yeah, boys.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
You guys are
I reckon my
adorable.
most memorable
I suppose.
was before I was even in the band. Because back when during the single launch for Echoes, when they got me up on the stage to play keyboard for a Joy Division cover, and I wasn't aware that I wasn't meant to learn the song, and so I learned the song, and I learned the wrong song, and it turns out I was just playing whooshy sounds for the whole thing.
Yeah, because I remember that gig, yeah, looking at you trying to play the actual keyboard, and it was like, no, you're just meant to make wind noises.
Yeah, white
I
noise.
was not aware, but yeah, it was fun.
That's amazing.
Clearly I did very well because I'm in the band now.
There you go.
In fairness, you could have, like, you must have slayed it, like, because there's no other way you'd be in the band right now.
Obviously, yeah.
I'll never forget George falling off the stage as well.
Oh,
We've
no.
a mate of ours who I'd say is handy 15 stone. He's a big boy, like, and I tried pulling him up on stage, and he got halfway up, and I just let go of him, and he went bang onto the ground. We all thought he was dead.
I remember being on stage and I asked him, I was like, "Are you all right, man?" And I think he had a busted lip or something, and he was quite dazed, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then he disappears back into the crowd.
Right.
You slapped so hard.
Are you guys
video.
listening to? Oh, sorry. Are you guys listening to a lot of music right now at the moment? Who are you listening to if you are, like, because I'm really interested to see who people are listening to right now.
I find myself listening to like a lot of like 70s and 80s punk rock, like, you know, like Minor Threat have to be like one of my most favorite kind of like hardcore rock bands, and Bad Brains definitely, and Regan Youth. In the beginning I'd listen to a lot of that as well, but yeah, a lot more kind of like hardcore rock bands, you know, punk rock bands.
I found myself listening to a lot of music that I'd kind of forgotten about. Like while I was in college, that was probably when I had most of my musical, when I was digesting as much music as possible, I suppose, finding new artists and everything. So I'm kind of reintroducing myself to a few albums. TV on the Radio, I've always been a big fan of their later albums, their last three especially. There's a very eclectic electronic artist called Baths, who I'd be quite fond of as well. And of course, I'm a big fan of Bob Dylan's early output as well. Folky stuff, and it was just him and his guitar. I've always really enjoyed that. So just kind of listening to old stuff again.
Yeah. Simon's still there.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been listening to I started been listening to the same 5 bands since I was 15, but recently I've got a band called The Garden. It's 2 brothers, and I really like what they're doing, because very hard to classify what genre they are, and I really like that. It's very original stuff. It's they're really kind of doing whatever they want, and they try not to kind of get influenced by anything, and just do what, you know, they come up with. And you know, I really like that. So that's what I've been listening to recently.
Was I've Fucking Heads album. And I really like David Byrne because he's autistic and he's a genius, so I identify with that a lot. Fat White Family as well, and I've had The Last Waltz, the film, on a couple of times. But once we got our EP back, I've kind of had that on repeat, trying to hear problems with it, really. So just like, what could we do different? What could be better next time? Chris Murphy versus The Resistance is another artist from Wexford. He's like a punk poet, and he has like a 3-piece percussion band behind him, and they're phenomenal. So, and they are releasing a new song, or they've released it, either it's upcoming anyway. They're phenomenal as well. They'd be great for an interview with yourself too. But yeah, that's mostly it. Car Seat Headrest as well. I think they're good.
Yeah.
And Dolly Parton, of course.
Of course, and she's reading bedtime stories to my kid almost every night now. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, well, I'm shacked up with the parents for the COVID stuff, so the mother loves Dolly Parton, so you can't bet Dolly, in fairness.
Sure, I'm after getting a Netflix account. Myself and Brandon used to share one, but he set up a profile on his Netflix account for me, and my profile picture was Dolly Parton.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So since I've gotten the new profile, I've adopted that as well. I'm still Dolly Parton on Netflix.
Yay! Go on, Dolly.
Love the boys. I find myself like I'm listening to a lot more like Irish music as well, like the likes of like Luke Kelly and, you know, the Dubliners and the Clancy Brothers and stuff. You know, Up the Rebels. You know what I mean?
I tell you who's really good actually in terms of Irish bands, the Waterboys.
Oh yeah.
Once they went for that kind of like trad rock kind of style, I thought they were absolutely brilliant.
They're somewhat folky as well, though, aren't they? They have that. What's that one song? Became a really big hit back in the day. What's the name of it? Fishman's Blues. Yeah, that's the one.
Fishman's Blues. That's it. Yeah. That's
I
great,
think they peaked with Hole of the Moon, to be honest. What a song.
Step. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm really interested in knowing as well is what's the first thing you guys are going to do when you get out of lockdown?
Pints.
pints,
Pints.
Yeah, yeah.
alcohol poisoning.
You can only have so much fun drinking at home with your roommates or your parents
not
or
the
whoever
same.
you're locking down with. But being able to go out and drink a pint is, to be honest, is something I never thought I'd miss. But now I'm missing it more and more every day now. Just starved for social contact, you know.
I'm gonna go
Still trying
swimming.
to still trying to master the skill of pouring a pint of Guinness into a glass. It's just not working.
Here's how you do it, man. Here's how you do it.
You know?
Like that.
I don't think it's your fault, Luke. Just trying to get a good pint of Guinness out of a can can be very, very challenging.
Yes,
So,
that indeed.
I can't even drink at home, honestly. I just get depressed if I open one beer at home. I just get
I'm an
sad.
alcoholic.
I just miss pubs so much.
I think I'm gonna go swimming once the pool is back open because I swim kind of semi-regularly.
So I
And,
guarantee it. The minute all of this is over, the weather's going to start being shite again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's true. I think we've already experienced that, being just locked in fucking doors, just passing us by, really.
That's it, yeah. As soon as the weather gets good, you know, we've got like 18-degree days. You're not allowed to go outside.
Yeah.
Against the law.
Yeah, no, I cleared out the credit union and did my garden up.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Fair play to you.
I was like, no, I'm not waiting in the house. Like, I want to be outside, which is where we are right now because the lighting is perfect. And then I upskilled with this beautiful microphone, but that was a gift. So
That's why I've been going on so many walks now, just because the weather's too nice not to.
Yeah.
illegal to have fun, lads. No fun allowed.
I think you're allowed to walk. Like, I'm pretty sure you're allowed to walk.
Not if you're enjoying yourself. You're allowed to walk and be miserable. It's illegal to have.
Yeah.
So the EP is planned for in and around July. We'll see how that goes. Let's talk about that. Let's get people excited because I'm excited after hearing it. So I can't wait for everyone else to hear it.
Oh yeah, I think we're
Best EP
very
that will ever be.
well. That yeah, July. I don't know. I keep hearing that this lockdown is going on till August or September. So release date will probably have to be moved back. But I'm very excited for people to hear it. You know, the mixing is like 95% done. I think a couple of us might have one or two suggestions for the fellow we're working with, Brendan Carthy in Orchard Studio. He's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, just can't really wait for people to hear it. So if we can get away with releasing it in July, then that'll be fantastic. But we'll have to see.
I think
Very
alternatively,
excited to release it. Very excited to get some feedback on it as well once we release it. So yeah, just really looking forward to finally getting it out there.
Yeah.
alternatively, I guess we might release 2 singles across the summer and push it back till lockdown ends or something like that. But what you've heard, Rebecca, is actually 1.5 of EP 1 and 2, because when we went in, we said we'd do 2 of them at the one time because it would save money. So it'll probably only be 4 songs coming out when it comes out, and Echoes might be on it as well, maybe. But
I feel very special.
So now we just have
top
to.
secret stuff.
We're still sorting out art and a name for it and what songs are going to be on it. So, but I guess there's no rush at this stage.
Exactly.
No, and a lot of bands are just going to release it, I think. A lot of bands are not going to be patient enough to wait till the end of this. And you're correct. I don't imagine this is going to be over till at least September. And when it's all over, the way we used to be able to go to gigs is going to be different for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
How are you supposed to social distance at a gig, like, you know?
Exactly. So a venue that previously would have taken 200 people, I am genuinely just guesstimating here and just using my knowledge and my brain. I would say you can fit 60 people in there. So you'll have to take that into account on how many people will actually want to go, how you can price that to still make a profit. Should you be live streaming as well? Should there be an option for fan-only options? Do you know what I mean? These are all the things I'm looking into myself personally anyway.
The only flip side of that I think might be positive was they said for his early career, Rory Gallagher never played a venue big enough to fit all his fans. And as a result, there would always be people outside going, I may see him at the next one, or I'd love to be in there. So like if you can only have 50 people at a gig and you can regularly pull in 100, that means only half your fan base can see you, which means really you could do a second gig and see who gets there. And it could, it's bad, but it could create people really want to see gigs again, you know what I mean?
Yeah, create a demand.
People want what they can't have.
Once there's a limited amount of spaces, you're going to be shocked how many, how much fast that fills up. People might even go see openers,
Oh, wow. That'd be a
support acts are so important though, because if you're picking someone to support you as a band, it's not just because they're your buddy, it's because you actually genuinely believe in what they're doing. So why people don't go to support acts is something that baffles me. Like it's like this band could actually be your life, so go see them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something we've noticed in gigs we've either taken part in or organized in, that whoever the headliner is, I guess, that's going to be like the majority of the crowd are there to see the headliner. And there's a lot of people who just wouldn't really think twice about opening acts, but as you say, like they're extremely important. There wouldn't be a show without them.
See, it feels like I don't know, people kind of go to gigs more to go to a party than to actually go for the music. And and it's a shame because obviously when you get to hear something, you believe in every band that you have with you, and there's loads of fantastic local bands, and and you're opening and there's not a lot of people there because you're opening. It's just a shame.
We've even had it at gigs we've ran, people turn up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and the doors would have been at 6, and they'd be like, "Oh, I thought doors were at 8." It's just nope, they're not.
Yeah. Or you find a lot of people who would be following us, for example, and you'd have 3 or 4 bands playing on the same night as well. But the people who would be interested in seeing us play, they'd ask when we are on stage. They don't ask when the gig starts. They ask when we start. Which is a real shame, I think, for a lot of the opening bands, because anyone we've worked with, they definitely deserve to be listened to.
Yeah.
And everyone's been an opening act at some stage, We're still opening gigs that we play outside of Wexford and Waterford,
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think it's just so important to go see the opening acts. I've always done it. Like, I've always been that silly idiot at the front of the stage when there's no one else there in the 3 Arena waiting, like just waiting,
The world needs those people, you know what I mean? Just people who are actually excited about local music.
Yeah.
Especially like when we've played in like venues such as like Fibber McGee's in Dublin, like we'd be the only fucking indie band there. The rest would just have like long hair and big massive fucking beards and just like head banging, and we'd just be like totally the opposite of that.
Yeah. As we said, our experience in Fibbers is like whenever we'd play, there'd be a crowd and all the big hairy fellas would get up and their girlfriends would just be like, "Ooh, what's that?" It's always just like, it's just all the big hairy fellas are like, "Fuck this band," and then there'd be a few nice ladies just being like, "Oh, this doesn't hurt my ears,"
One thing I found about playing in Fibbers is that it's probably the most brutally honest crowd that we've ever played to. Like, we played a gig in, say, Waterford or Cork or back here at home. Even if someone isn't completely into the song we were playing, they'd at least give a round of applause or a few woos or something like that. But in Fibbers, if the crowd didn't like the song, it'd be just dead silence. No applause, no cheering, nothing whatsoever. So as much as I dislike playing in Fibbers, to be honest, maybe cut that part out.
I can't.
At least we get a good idea of what songs work and which ones don't.
Yeah, I think
which ones need to be worked on. Yeah.
I think people in Dublin are just rude, man. But not even rude, but they're spoiled for choice. You know what I mean? Like if you're in Fibbers, you're like, I'm a metalhead. I like metal or heavy bands. And then if a band isn't heavy, they're just like, well, this isn't what I came here for. Same as I guess if you went to the Workman's and you're like, I'm here to see an indie band and a metal band played, that you'd get the same reaction,
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
There's so much saturation on the market up there. Like a mate of mine was telling me even BIM do those like live and lyrical gigs 4 times a year. As 24 bands play at them, like there's regularly over 100 applicants, which means there's over 100 acts. in one town that actually isn't that big, you know.
Mm.
You know, imagine Wexford had 100 bands in it, like you like.
You'd never get a gig.
No, you know.
Never. You're completely right. Like, but that's why it's so important as well for bands that are outside of Dublin to get to Dublin and to have things in place to help them get exposure. And it's also important for Dublin bands to leave Dublin because, yeah, it's
Oh, they
easier
don't
for
like
them to
doing that.
break it.
They don't like doing that.
But yeah, look, I'm really excited to see what happens next, and I'm really grateful for the interview today. Is there anything you guys would like to add?
Buy the EP when it comes out, please. And come see us live. Yeah.
We'll buy you a pint at the end of it.
Oh yeah, buy us all pints. Yeah. There was a gig we did in Kilkenny once, and someone in the crowd bought a shot between the four of us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it
right.
was a shot of vodka or something. Yeah.
And it wasn't even at the gig. We were doing sound check, and they came up and were like, "You lads were brilliant."
There were a bunch of like Northern Irish guys, and they were just. I wouldn't mind so much, but it's just, I don't mind the accent. It's a lot better than the fucking Dublin one, but just it would go through your head sometimes. You'd be like, English, please. You know what I mean?
The fact that they were, you know, a little bit drunk and a little bit belligerent, you know, not so much to do with the accent for me, just alcohol doesn't agree with everybody.
I think they were on a stag night, weren't they?
I think so, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Anyone who's enjoyed this video and is a big 10 Ounce Mouse fan, there is 33 interviews like this on the Viking Promotions YouTube page and the channel on YouTube, and I'd love more subscribers. So feel free to do that. If you're a band out there that's enjoyed this and wants to talk to me, just send me an email. Guys, I'm going to stop recording and we can go back to casual chit chat.